No matter where I am, I'm passing out cards or talking to somebody and, shaking a hand, kissing a baby, whatever you gotta do.
The second I met you, you handed me your card.
Yeah, you got to be the brand.
Welcome to Profession Session, where we interview young business owners, entrepreneurs, and professionals in all kinds of different areas. I'm your host, Brody Vinson, and my guest today is Chris Carvajal. Chris, thank you so much for being here.
I appreciate it. Thank you for having me, man.
Absolutely. I'm really excited to get into this one. Yeah. So our mutual connection, Steve, introduced me to you as what he described as kind of a serial entrepreneur. You're involved in a lot of different stuff, so there's a lot to get into today.
Yeah.
Is that how you would describe yourself?
Yeah, I love talking shop. I'm a sports fan, so I think that competitive nature and me always wanting to get better and do better in business is something that keeps me thriving for more. Yeah. But yeah, I would consider myself a nonstop businessman.
Yeah, I love it. Just into talking about it and in all kinds of different areas, as the guests will find out here in a bit. How did your career kind of get started? How did you get into, I guess, the entrepreneurial space at first?
Yeah, I moved here when I was 23, so that was in 2009. And the recession had just happened. I looked for a local job, and there was a company doing like debt consolidation, assisting people with foreclosures, things of that nature. Mm-hmm. And I think as a whole, they were bringing on about 20-something clients a month.
Okay, wow.
And there was like 5 or 6 people. And then in my first month, I did 80 on my own.
Wow, okay.
So I was actually going to go back to Miami. And they were like, no, we'll kind of give you what you want to stay type
you're
of
the
thing.
man.
So I got a nice salary bump. And I started getting used to Jacksonville. And I really love it here. I'm so glad I stayed. It's a great place to live.
Awesome. What do you attribute that ability to do 80 in your first month to?
I'm up from Miami, got a little gift to gab. My dad was a salesman as well. Just working hard. Really, when you speak to a client, it's an emotional connection. You gotta understand what they're going through, what they need help with, and just getting them the help they need. You got to actually explain to them all the options. Selling is about educating. Yeah. If you educate everybody on what their options are, a lot of times they'll buy from you because they trust you.
Absolutely. So you just come in and start really killing it right off the bat. They do everything they can to keep you, and it kind of continues going well from there. And how long were you in that position?
It morphed as the market changed, became more foreclosures. We were doing a lot more debt in the beginning, mm-hmm. and then foreclosures really started happening a lot. So we started assisting people, doing loan modification packages, basically trying to help keep them in their house. Mm-hmm. If they had foreclosures, helping defend them against those. So that whole industry, I would say, I was probably in that about 5-6 years, okay. In different facets and forms. But yeah, definitely awesome. Managing. I even started a referral business through that. So yeah, was doing well in that.
So how did the referral business work?
When people would call in, they'd call my organization. We'd pick up as my company, and then we would refer out to different lawyers or processing agencies that provided the services.
Because there's a lot of services that you need as a company doing all that kind of stuff that you deal with these different service providers. Correct.
You're going to have lawyers to help, file bankruptcy per se, debt consolidation companies, and you have lower interest rate companies. It's a huge industry. It's still out there. I actually think it's going to be coming back because of the potential recession that we're in now. And
definitely want to get into that a little bit. Yeah. What are some of the signs that make you say that? Because that's a really hot topic. Really, even as of just the last month or so, people are really starting to talk about that.
I mean, inflation is obviously through the roof right now. Yeah. Everybody feels it. You see it at the pump. You see it in the grocery store. Eventually, it has to catch up. Mm-hmm. And, I think what the government did, they printed a lot of money. So everybody, market inflation went out of control. They're trying to control it. I think eventually it's going to catch up, and there'll be some kind of pullback, correction. Mm-hmm. And, hopefully from what we learned back in 08, 09, we'll have some fail-safe so that it's not as bad, because it could be worse potentially. But I don't think it's going to be. I hope not.
But you're seeing some of the similar signs from back then when it was leading up to it.
Yeah, because, this day and age, a lot of people will take their inflation, they'll use it to cash out. And a lot of people, unfortunately, aren't very responsible. They don't invest money. They'll use it and go buy another car or go buy new shoes. They they're not using the money that they're going to pull out of their mortgage, for example, and go buy properties or go invest it in some other and start a business. They take it and they spend it on items
that have consumer goods,
depreciating items. So
that kind of just artificially drives things up.
And as soon as you have that correction and you can't grab that cash, you're underwater. It's the American way. People get in debt.
It happens every once in a while. Not much we can do about it.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully we're a little bit more prepared and it's not, the catastrophic event that it was in 07, 08.
I don't think so.
Kind of getting back to that, you said that started to kind of morph that business. What did the morphing that you mentioned, what did that kind of start to look like for you?
So as a company, I mean, at given time we had 40, 50 of us, I'd say. And we were in the legal space because we were doing foreclosure defense, foreclosure assistance. And it just so morphed into, we started working with attorneys that were doing other types of law. So we have a call center that was doing marketing and had really good structures and management in place, including myself and some partners. And we started actually doing family and criminal law. And we were doing it in about like 30 states.
Wow, okay.
A couple hundred attorneys. It's like a network. So you have different, they call them of councils in different states. And that morphed into that. I did that for a while. And then,
so Referral Business kind of became a legal marketing company.
Yeah. And then they, some of my partners came up with some creative ways in order to, because you can't. They call it fee sharing. You can't fee share with lawyers, but there's certain ways that you're able to receive marketing funds, and they were able to do that. So we did that for a little bit, and then there was a couple of hurricanes that came, and I started marketing for a couple of roofing companies. And I started hearing about some of the revenue that they were making from the storms, and light came on. I was like, hey, maybe I should look into this. So after Irma and Matthew, I looked into it, and that's kind of what got me into this industry. So I've owned my company now for 4 years. So.
And that's a roofing company.
We do roofing and construction. We do remodeling, things like that, but our main focus is roofing. Because we could do them quick. It gives me flexibility to be around my family, do things I enjoy like golf and stuff like that.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And so that kind of gets to a big point I wanted to touch on, which is, just this trend that I see in your career, as you've explained it so far, of just being prepared and really knowing the market, knowing the trends and knowing what's going on very early and acting on what's going on and kind of creating a new opportunity for yourself. What are some of the ways that you stay in the know and watch the trends? What are some tools that you use maybe to listen to those trends and keep up with the market? Yeah, I mean, we live in a world of technology, so it's all at our fingertips. I got 2 phones. I'm always on my laptop. I stay keeping up with the times as best I can, between the internet and TV, and obviously other entrepreneurs around me. By networking with other like-minded people that just think business. Obviously, you still have a good time, but you think business all the time. You're able to find opportunities, and that it's this big thing to make sure that you have other people that around you that also have that same mentality. They're thinking about the same things, just always talking ideas. You mentioned just having the passion for business in general, so it's always kind of on the back of your mind. Yeah,
you've gotta be around other hustlers. I mean, that is what it is. If the people around you don't have that same vision, your vision's not going to work.
I think there's another little point in what you're talking about, kind of creating that flexibility for yourself. You mentioned being, flexible so you can spend more time with your family, more time golfing. There's also a really good point in there about just leaving yourself a little flexible in case new opportunities come up. I feel like if you have the flexibility as an entrepreneur where you kind of control your own schedule, at least to a degree, then, some new opportunity comes up, you can take it and you can act on it.
Yeah, I think society, when growing up, they train you to go to school, go get a 9-to-5, save your money, and drive through traffic every day. It's great to just pretty much wake up every day and be like, I'm going to do whatever I want today.
Yeah.
Today I'm going to go grind all day. Or today, I'm going to grind a little, I'm going to go golf. Or today I'm going to hang out with my family. You know what? Let's go on a spur of the moment trip. I mean, there's something about that when you're growing up, you just think of the rat race. But once you get into the freedom, it's life changing because you're just like, I literally control what I get to do every day.
It really is. I have that same drive. It's really the number one most influential thing for me in my career is really having that flexibility to, if I want to work 24 hours straight, I could do that. But if I want to reward myself with a vacation afterwards, I can do that if I want to as well. Where do you think that came from for you? Was that something that you saw growing up with your parents, or was that something that just kind of like came to you naturally?
Both my parents, extremely hard workers. My father came from Cuba when he was 5, was a police officer, retired after 35 years. My mother's been in the legal industry, always been a great example of how to work hard. She went to law school. Just seeing them work hard and just wanting it, you know. I used to tell like my team, I was like, man, you gotta want it. You gotta want it. I can't want it for you. You know what I mean? Like, I know I want it. I want you to want it. You know, I can't want it for you. I need you to do it too. You know, and it's just something I just wake up and I'm like, you know, I think about things. I think how can I get better? What can I do to better myself as an entrepreneur, and as a person, as a father?
I love that. What are some other things, you know, maybe even unrelated to the business that you feel like fuel that for you? Some other things you do in your life?
You know, like I have a great wife, I have a good support system. People around me are good. My friends are good. Big about who is in your circle.
Absolutely.
Your inner circle is what helps boost you and what helps make you a better person. I feel like people in my life really, truly do have my back, I can say. And it feels good to have that. And it just motivates you to make sure you don't let them down. So I'm never going to.
That's awesome. Yeah. I really like this point, so I want to stay on it for a minute. What are maybe like some common attributes that if you were to think about like the closest people to you, the people that you do keep in your circle, maybe some common attributes that you see in those people that lead you to want to have those people in your circle and keep them in your circle?
Yeah. You know, a lot of my friends are idea people. A lot of people talk about stupid topics all the time, and that's up to them. But a lot of my good close friends that I stay around, you know, they're always coming up with ideas. You know, I was just at a networking event yesterday. Just constantly being around people that want things and are good people and have a good moral compass. They don't steal. They don't. You know, they're really just good people. Absolutely. And it just makes it really easy.
I love that. So you keep yourself surrounded by this great circle that has your back and is always thinking of ideas. So that brings up all kinds of new ideas. So that kind of brings us to, you know, there's a few other different things that you've had going on. You mentioned that you're in real estate investing. We kind of talked about this off air a little bit. Really like to get into that as well. So I guess that's a little parallel to some of the construction and roofing, obviously. You're dealing with real estate in that case. So did you kind of get into real estate investing out of virtue of being in that world a little bit?
Yeah. So in my industry, I deal with investors all the time. I still do. Doing roofs, doing certain remodels. After, you know, I'm about 4 years in business now. The first couple of years, it's like I was doing it for them. I'm like, wait, I could do this for myself. And like I said, being around some other guys that are into real estate, we have been able to do short-term Airbnb rentals. And being in the construction industry, if you're already doing remodels and things like that, and you're just doing it for yourself, you're getting better margins, you're getting better deals. So that's one thing that's really helped me is making sure you get the prices right so that your return on your investment comes out good.
Absolutely. And, you know, getting into the Airbnb a little bit, even, you know, selfishly, I am very interested in that because it's something I've started becoming more aware of recently is just how good the money is in hosting through Airbnb if you set it up right. So how did you first set that up? What was your first kind of Airbnb investing opportunity?
So, you know, basically right now, the one we got going that's really, really hopefully going to be the biggest return. It's total 7 bedrooms, 6 bathrooms in San Marco.
Wow.
It's basically, if we're going to rent something like that, market value probably $4 or $5 grand a month. But we were doing some numbers. I think it's going to come out somewhere around 13 grand a month if I do Airbnb. At a 70% rental.
And how did that market research look? How did you do that?
You comps in the area. So you go to look at other houses that first what you bought the house for, this is a duplex or quadplex. What does that cost? How much possible construction renovation is going to go into it? And then at the end, what's the value going to be? And then you got to check Airbnbs or VRBOs and say, hey, how much approximation per night can you get for something that's renovated?
Right.
And we do that math, and that's how we come up with those numbers.
Just with other comparable properties in the area that are already doing it?
Correct. If you go to the, for example, if you're looking at, for example, the property in San Marco, you can see other Airbnbs in the area. Say, okay, this 2-2 will rent for, anywhere from $125 to $200 per se. But you look also at how that one looks compared to the final product of how yours should look. So that one's about to wrap up. Actually, we're in the final stages now, doing a common area right now with like a pergola and barbecue. So we're getting that stuff set up because it's also about, it's not just about where you put your head. It's also about some of the amenities that you have on the property.
Absolutely. I feel like that's very important, especially if you're talking about a bigger space like that. It's probably going to be used for a lot of, events, maybe a small company event or something.
You're going to have people coming in for Florida Georgia. You're going to have, they'll come with groups of people, and they're going to want, after a game or something to go have somewhere to hang out a little bit, barbecue or what have you. So it is important to add some of those little amenities to add some value. If you're searching online for an Airbnb and you're like, oh, this place got, looks like it's got a fire pit. And you're like, okay, well, that's cool. After after whatever you're in town for, you can go sit out there.
It really helps you kind of shape your trip as well. That's my favorite thing about, using, we're talking about the hosting side, but using Airbnb as a user, something I use a lot on trips.
Same here.
It's awesome. I mean, you can really select it for specifically what you're looking to get out of the trip, and it helps shape, it helps you get something out of the trip you might not have even thought of yourself, like the different amenities.
Yeah, so I completely agree with that.
It's really cool. What are just on like kind of a fun topic, what have been some of your favorite Airbnb experiences?
So my wife was a cheerleader for the Jaguars, so I went to London. Did I go 3 times? I went twice.
Okay,
and we stayed in Airbnbs there, so those were pretty cool. Like you're in the middle of I've actually Rome. Me and my wife stayed in Rome, and
awesome.
It was amazing. We left the windows and doors open the whole time, so you can just hear street performers. And
wow.
It was a really cool experience.
That's awesome. That'd be really cool traveling with the Jags.
Yeah. Well, I didn't get to travel. She travels with them. I had to go privately on my own. I'm not allowed to travel.
Still getting to be there, though.
Yeah. It was cool. It was cool. I hope to do it
We usually
again.
Win those games too. A lot. Of
We've
had
won
good success.
We won some good ones at the end. Yeah.
That's awesome. Mm-hmm. Who were they playing for that game? Do you remember?
The first one I think was the Buffalo Bills, and the last one was the Dallas Cowboys.
Very cool.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
I met Michael Irvin. I'm a big Miami Hurricane.
Oh
fan.
Yeah, that's awesome. I got to get to London. I haven't been yet, but I've heard it's a really great time.
You should.
Maybe when the Jaguars are playing would be.
Yeah, I think they go back again this year.
Pretty much every year now, I think, right?
I think between there and Tottenham, which is somewhere near there.
Yeah,
I'm not sure.
Couple different stadiums.
Yeah, it's somewhere near London.
Yeah. Well, cool. So do you have any other Airbnb kind of investments that you're setting up right now aside from the Quadplex?
Oh, right now we're looking for some more to get into. I have a couple. Right now I'm really, really focusing on my roofing company, reinvesting in that. I got a commercial about to start airing. I'm increasing my spend on Google AdWords and different marketing trends there. So that's really kind of my focus is pouring some gas on this and so that it gives me the opportunity to buy more investment properties, things of that nature.
So I think the Google AdWords brings up a really good topic because you have that marketing background and you're doing a little bit of that. I'd like to talk about what your favorite marketing, like paid marketing channels are and why. Is Google AdWords your favorite, would you say?
Google AdWords is good for what I do specifically. I'm great with Thumbtack. It's kind of like a home advisor type of situation. We actually won Top Pro 2019, 20, and 21. Which is given to
kind of like an Angie's List for specifically for contracting.
Correct, and you can pick your service specifically. But I've done very well with them. Like I said, won Top Pro 3 years in a row. It's only given to 4% of all their pros. So when they say pro, it can also be for other services, dog walkers, babysitters. I mean, there's other services in it, but it's a big company.
Just kind of service based stuff in general.
Yeah, I do our return on investment are very good on those. AdWords is a good one. We do door hangers, word of mouth. I mean, word of mouth. I'm anywhere I go, I'm always.
The second I met you, you handed me your card.
Yeah, that's.
I love that.
Man. It's you got to live. You got to be the brand. You got to live the brand. But I'm always, no matter where I am, I'm passing out cards or talking to somebody and shaking a hand, kissing a baby, whatever.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
So how did you first get into kind of staying on the Google AdWords? How did you first get into running paid ads, and what were maybe? We could go kind of failures and successes. I'd like to talk first maybe about any failures you might have had getting into that, because it's kind of a trial and error thing as you get better at running the ads.
There's no guarantees. So I'm very big about tracking where things are coming from. That way I know if the investment's working. So I have, a thing called Ring Central, which helps me track different unique numbers. So for example, my AdWords has one specific phone number. So if somebody were to call from that phone number, I know they called from AdWords. So, trials and tribulations, I had run an ad for, I think it was 2 months. I spent a couple grand, and I realized, I'm like, man, I'm not getting any calls. And I realized the number was messed up in Ring Central.
Wow.
So it wasn't ringing through to my phone. I was and I had to go back and call the people and try to get them on the hook. But it's, somebody calls you,
a lot of
you got to pick them up right away.
Absolutely, especially if it's coming in from a channel like
so. Now I've learned to always have my Ring Central up every day, just in case something IT goes wrong. That way I don't lose that money.
Absolutely, yeah. And talking about the Ring Central, so we were talking about this again off air. You've got not only the two phones, but you've got the different numbers forwarding into those phones that show you where they're calling from, because you've got the different referral sources. I think that's genius, by the way. I think that's really smart. It really helps you with that tracking. Yeah. What are some other ways that you kind of track your ROI?
So obviously I have a CRM that I use in order to track my clients. So every client that comes in, we ask them, hey, for marketing purposes, where did you come from? Where did you locate us?
Yeah.
So that's a way to do it. Then I'm big with Microsoft Excel. So I keep spreadsheets. And that way I can get an idea of how much money that I spent per marketing unit and what kind of calls I got back. I also do, with my website, I put tags on them. So for example, I'm able to track IP addresses that visit my site.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I'm big about that. It's important to know where the money's coming from and where the leads are coming from. Sometimes you have to go through a good amount of leads in order to get one deal. So it's important to make sure that you're tracking that. And in the industry you're in, I think that's something that people don't do. They think about accounting only, but it's also important to make sure that you track where leads come from.
Absolutely. Going back to, you mentioned your CRM, one thing that makes me think of just being earlier in the entrepreneurial space myself, I've dealt with a lot of CRMs, and one thing that I've noticed is a common struggle with business owners is picking the right CRM for you. I'd like to talk a little bit about that. It sounds like you're pretty happy with yours.
Yeah, I'm on my third one actually. Since I've started this company, just for this company, so it is important. It's not just about how much it costs; it's about what they do. The reason I'm with AccuLinks right now. That's what I'm currently using. The benefit to it is it's got a lot of templates. So, for example, if we send out a quote, I can automatically have it send them a follow-up email in X amount of days or text, things of that. For example, if we have an estimate tomorrow, they get a reminder on their phone the morning of.
Awesome.
If somebody signs a contract, they get an automated email that gets sent to them that breaks down what to expect when we go to build your roof or do whatever project.
That's really awesome.
So I'm big about automation and going over and above with the client. They love that. Clients, they feel like they're in the know. They know what's happening.
Especially getting the texts thing. That's huge for anything. I know whenever I set an appointment, I've always got so much stuff going on. If it's something like a vet appointment or something that just might be out of mind, like if I'm getting a text about it, like I'm going to remember it, but if not, there's no way I'm going to remember it. So that's huge.
I'm huge about lists. I'm huge about using my calendar. I mean, everybody's got a lot going on in their life, and I definitely stay busy. So I have to make sure that I keep things written down in order to stay on top of things. Obviously, nobody's perfect. Things sometimes do slip through the cracks, but that's the best way in order to stay up is to make sure you write stuff down.
Absolutely. So what are some other strategies you use to kind of, keep everything together? Because you do have so many different, endeavors going on at once, and you seem to have a very good handle on it. Like you said, sometimes stuff slips through the cracks, of course, but you do seem to have a really good handle on it. What are maybe some other things that you use? You mentioned the calendar. Is that a very important and integral piece for you?
Yeah, keeping things, not just being, I have family things, I have business things, and I have, different events and things that come up. So the calendar, one of the biggest things for me is making sure that, especially with like clients, I'll have to mark follow-ups. And so it's calendars, notes, using the CRM, making sure some automatization's in place just in case, for example, I do forget to call somebody. There is something that will either remind me or remind the client or remind both of us.
Absolutely.
So I'm big about using the tools that you have in order to succeed.
I love that. And again, on the CRM note, another thing that I've noticed is, as a business owner, obviously you said you're on your third one. So at some point you had one that either maybe you weren't happy with or you just found one that you thought could be even better. Is that something that you kind of a tab that you have to always leave open in your head, in your opinion, is that if another one comes along that's better, you're going to switch?
I actually, believe it or not, there is one that I've heard of that, and I haven't really fully looked into it, but all your data that's inside of a CRM, I always make sure if I go with a CRM that you can take the data out of it, do like a CSV or whatever it may be, and export it into a new one. So if they don't have that technology, I won't even ever look at them.
Exactly.
Because I'm never, you can't, I'm not locked into one. Technology gets better. People come up with,
always changing.
People come up with something better, and if I have the ability to use that, I'm not married to the one CRM. But yeah, the first CRM I had, they were amazing about marketing purposes, but they were bad about production.
Okay.
So for example, like post sale, it was good about tracking leads, reminding leads, but then once they signed up, it was like there was nothing there.
Right.
Also a big
doesn't have that extra high touch.
It's just got one side of it. It doesn't have the back end, and in my industry, you need both, because we're not just sales and marketing for roofs and that sort of thing. We're also production. We got to build. We got to build. We got to collect. We got to send warranties. There's a whole process at the end. It's not just, hey, sign a client, we're done. It's not just a point of sale. It's not like a lollipop. Here's a lollipop, go. This is, hey, sell. We got to order materials. We got to pull permits. We got to order dumpsters. There's a whole list of things that got to go.
Absolutely.
I could be here all day telling you what we have to do.
Oh, yeah, I know how that is. Does that do invoicing for you as well?
It does invoicing as well.
That's huge.
Yeah.
We're looking into one right now for my company, making a switch that will do the invoicing. So we're a very new company. We just got started really in September of last year, but we're looking into one that will do invoicing for us, because right now it's all kind of manual. Yeah. And we've had a lot of big jobs, but now it's moving into a lot more medium jobs at once, which is great, but it's a high workload.
More tracking, yeah.
Yeah.
It's important for invoicing. And then it links with our QuickBooks, which links directly with our bank account, which links exactly with our payroll. So it's all about, if you can automate something, it's going to give you more time to do other things, but it's also going to help make you efficient and create fail-safe. So if you write stuff down, yes, you can check it off. But if you have a computer system that's able to actually, you have to move it from status to status in order to make sure that it gets done. So we're big about that. The client goes from a lead, they go from a prospect to an approved client, to a deposited client, to a billed client, to a collected final payment client, to a leave us a review client.
Absolutely.
There's a whole process.
I think the leave us a review thing is huge too. Is that kind of built into your CRM as well? Just like reaching out and asking for the reviews?
We don't automate that because
it's less personal.
It's less personal. Yeah. We'd rather call, be there, or, what have you. It depends on the client. But yeah, we're pretty good as far as reviews. I mean, not everybody leaves one, of course, and we don't harass it. If somebody doesn't want to leave one, that's fine. I understand. But, I think we got in total between all of our platforms around 100, and we're at a
that's really good.
4.9 or 5. We've had one or two in our history, but
yeah,
for the most part, everything's pretty good.
So what are some strategies that you use for asking for that review at the end? How does that conversation look?
Well, one, we use a drone to take pictures, so people love seeing the drone photos. So we provide them with all their photos. We provide them with our warranties.
Okay.
So we kind of give them a lot of information. Even when we go to enroll a client, I guess people call it being extra. When we go to send them their quote, they get our state licenses, they get our liability insurance, they get a link that they click on. It's got a cloud with like 600 pictures of jobs we've done. So it's like,
that's awesome.
Like, look, we are legit.
Yeah.
I love that. And I feel like some of the, I'm sure there's other, roofers and things like that that do things the same, but there's a lot that don't.
Yeah.
So it helps set you apart sometimes just by going that little extra mile. And I'm huge about that.
So another thing we were kind of talking about off air that I wanted to touch back on is you feel like in your roofing company right now, you mentioned you feel like you're in a really big growth stage. I'm interested what that means to you. What makes you say growth stage and what that kind of looks like for you?
Yeah. So the roofing industry is obviously, this is my main racehorse, if you will. And it's been what's given me the opportunity to buy real estate, look at other business ventures. So I've been pouring gas on it, if you will, increasing marketing value. I've just brought on some outside sales reps. So I got a couple other reps that just started, basically merging from other companies, see the greener pastures and want to come join us. So, we're picking up some outside reps. That's going to be, it takes a while to see that return.
Of course.
We got a commercial that's going to be running on First Coast News and Good Morning America and all that.
On the note of the outside sales reps, there's something going back to Wade earlier in the interview that you mentioned, talking to people and whether they have that will to really want to sell and do well or not. How do you pick that out when you're like looking to take on those new sales reps? What are some of the things that you're looking for?
So one of the guys that we're just bringing in now, so it's just starting. I was following him on social media. Again, he posts about his roofing sales and things like that. And I was like, hey, if you're ever interested in talking, I followed up with him for months. Finally, he's like, you know what? He's like, hey, I'm going to come in and see you. And we met, and he's really good vibes, kind of like you guys. He's got really good vibes, and you're just like, all right, we're because he's also, if somebody sells for you, they're also like their own business.
Yeah,
in my opinion.
Oh, absolutely.
So he also has, you can see like I said, that you got to want it. He
internal kind of entrepreneurial drive.
He already knows, like I don't have to push him. He's going to go sell on his own, and he does for another company. So he's already coming in, running basically. He doesn't need too much training, but he saw what we're doing, kind of like the culture we're trying to build over at South Edge, and he's come over, and so I'm excited about that.
And then it's really just about providing, a better, more constructive infrastructure and growth opportunity for them. Yeah,
it's about the tools. It's as far as the system that we use, the CRM. It's about how we assist them. A lot of companies don't go that extra mile like I feel like we do, and people love that. Like, for example, a dumpster. When we go to do a job, the dumpster gets there like the night before, and then it leaves like the morning, like it's gone in and out.
That's awesome.
Some companies leave dumpsters for like a week in front of your house, and then you get parked. Things like that. We have an amazing relationship with the material company, so we get materials quicker. They kind of take care of us. Just stuff like that.
Yeah. It just makes making the whole experience fantastic from beginning to end.
Better for the client, better for the rep. Me and I have like a right-hand man, I would call him, his name's Sean, and he really helps me tackle the day. I mean, we kind of ham and egg everything, make sure that that we get all the tasks we got to get done for that day. But we're very big about client communication, going that extra mile so that they know that, hey, we're here to help. Just really, like I said, hitting them with extra things so that they know that you care about them. Because we do literally appreciate every single client.
Absolutely.
If you don't have clients, you don't have a business.
It's literally the lifeblood of the business.
Exactly.
So the other thing you mentioned was the commercial. I'd like to talk about that a little bit. How did you decide that you wanted to shoot and run a commercial?
Yeah, so there's a couple things right now. We talked about market trends. There's a couple things right now that are happening in the roofing market. One thing is hurricane season just started. Hurricane season for the next few months. If you're going to look at TV, and you live in Florida, you're going to keep an eye on the tropics, because there's always something out there that's floating around. Okay, they missed, whatever. They get close, we have a near miss. But so it's something that's on people's mind.
Yeah.
It's on their front door. Then
as soon as summer starts.
Yeah. Right now, we had one little kick up like last week, but the point is you really keep an eye on that. So everybody buys water and the whole situation. So there's that. Then right now in our industry, there's a lot going on with insurers that aren't reinsuring homeowners. It's like a huge the government just had a special legislation. They just changed some laws, literally just went into effect like last week. Wow. But the point is that's a big thing right now is homeowners insurance companies are dropping out of business. They're not taking on new clients. And what it's from, the last 5-6 years, the insurance companies have been getting crushed because there's been so many hurricanes that have hit up and down between here and the Gulf Coast. Yeah. So it's
just taking them way outside of their risk calculations.
We're getting action. Florida gets hit every year, somewhere. So it's like, I don't know what's going to happen. It's really hard. I wish I could figure out where things are going to go. It's not like the insurance or the roofing business will go anywhere. As I said a little bit earlier, there's 3 things in this world, for the most part, that you need. You need water, you need food, and you need a roof over your head. So I'm happy that I'm in an industry that I know people need.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's important, especially when you're talking about like potential recession, like things getting shaken up and not knowing exactly how it's going to go. You got to be at something solid.
No matter what's going on, you're going to always have to have a place to live. So you're going to need a roof over your head, and we're here to keep it.
Absolutely.
to keep it dry,
So so going back to the commercial, so you kind of decide, that it's on people's minds, hurricane season. What is kind of the subject matter of the commercial, and how did you decide how you wanted that to look?
Yeah, so between me and one of the reps I'm working with for the news station, we came up with a couple 30-second commercial spots. Actually filmed it in front of my buddy's house. Thank you, Vic. We filmed it in front of his house. It's a 30-second. It talks a little bit about storm damage. It's actually got me, my wife, and my daughter in it, showing that we're family-owned. And then there's another one that discusses, so one discusses the hurricanes, and then one discusses, have you been denied or dropped by your insurance company?
Yeah.
Give us a call.
Just hitting those 2 main concerns.
It's those are the two things that are in our industry that's in front of people right now. So it's just us pushing on those buttons.
Awesome. And are those primarily going to run on television, or will there be like socials, any display ads?
So I have them here, which I can show you after. They're on my, they're on a YouTube link, but they're going to be running during Good Morning America, First Coast News at 5 and 5:30, and then there's some spread out, and then on the social media platforms, and then I'll post it on our site and things of that nature.
Awesome.
I'll probably
kind of just all over.
Yeah, I'll probably run it a little bit on my Google business page too. Do a little paid ads there, maybe some Facebook page ads. Just
nice.
Just spread it out a little bit, and just content.
Have you run commercials like that before?
This is our first one.
Awesome.
It's our first one. And in my other industries, we done some radio commercials.
Okay.
But I've never done a TV commercial, so this is our first one.
Did you see pretty good success with the radio commercials? I feel like those are doing really well on podcasts. Right?
So we didn't, and this is about 6-7 years ago, so I'm not exactly sure on the return, but I know that they were pretty expensive.
Okay.
They were pretty expensive, so not only like the top tier salespeople would get those, because obviously you want to make sure that something. I think they were about 40, but almost double the price of like our other leads. So they were good, and you don't get a ton of them, but they're so expensive.
Yeah, I feel like they've gotten a little bit more democratized with podcasts and some of the other channels. But at the same time, I feel like as a local business, it's probably not the right channel, I would think, because it's like, the listens and the attention could be kind of all over the place, unless it was like just a very locally focused radio station or podcast station. I think the TV ads are probably a better
bet. The TV ad, the big thing, and this is something that I love because I love this kind of technology, is that Aetna is the name of they're the people that own the TV stations basically. But what they're able to do is they're able to, for example, your Comcast, you have an IP address with that. So they can know if you're a homeowner or not.
Wow.
Based on your account, and they can also tell the value of your property. So we're actually only marketing to homeowners and their homes are over $350,000.
Wow.
So renters will never see my commercial.
That's incredible.
And that's how they're able to target your. That's how you're able to target your return. Now, I'm not saying that doesn't make your return perfect, but that helps.
Still not guaranteed, but I mean, then you're not running it to all these different random things that could never be customers.
Yeah, a renter, or it could be an Airbnb or something like, you know what I mean? It's not a primary homeowner. So they're able to do that between, their data. Data is a huge thing.
That's fantastic.
I mean, the data that's out there, anytime you sign up for any app on your phone, I mean, anything you do these days, people capture your data. And we allow it, just because you click to sign up, nobody really reads the fine print.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with it. It's completely legal.
Might as well utilize it. Absolutely. It works. And I mean, you're doing a service. You're helping people out.
Yeah. We're good people. We're here to help people. Obviously, we make money doing it. It is what it is. So anything we can do to get in front of potential clients and to show our brand, that was the intent. So hopefully it goes good. It's running for 4 weeks, and after the 4 weeks, if we get a good return, I might shoot another one. If the trend is different. But right now, that trend is for hurricanes and for people getting dropped with their insurance.
And I'm sure you'll be doing some tracking to see, because you're essentially doing a little A/B test there as well with the two different spots. You'll be probably doing some tracking to see which one of those two performs better. And then would you maybe, if you saw the one was doing way better, you might kind of double down on that particular topic.
Exactly.
As a bigger point of concern that's been identified.
Yep. We even installed these tags on our website. So if somebody sees a commercial, and obviously we have the IP addresses of who gets in front of, so it's basically like a giant list. And then if that IP address visits my website, we actually know for scientific fact. Other than some random oddity that they just go to my website, that person came from the commercial.
That's awesome.
So I'm able to say, hey, you saw the commercial and you visited my site. And track it. And we also bought a vanity number, which is a specialized number. It's 904-799-8000. I know it's something quick that they can remember, because if you see a commercial in 30 seconds, you're cooking dinner, you got your kids running around, you see a commercial, you need something that they'll remember. So so it has, we bought a special number for that too.
Those do really well, especially if there's like a jingle around it or something. Some of the ones like the 867-5409, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, big companies do it, lawyers do it, big doctors, things like that. You got to have something
Something to stand out.
Something to stand out. It's hard to remember things. So, that little quick number. So hopefully it's going to turn out. I'm pretty confident. Well, I'll show you the commercials when we're done here.
Absolutely. Yeah, I wish you the best of luck with that. That's exciting.
Appreciate it.
Especially since it's like the first time running something new. I mean, it sounds like that ties in really well with the stuff that really excites you. So that's exciting stuff.
Very excited about it.
Awesome. Speaking of exciting stuff, you've got some other kind of, ventures that are going on and some upcoming that I'd like to talk about.
Yeah.
So we've talked about kind of the residential real estate investing that you do, but there's also kind of a commercial side that we haven't really touched on as much. I'd like to get into that a little bit. I guess we could start with, how did you first start considering doing some investing in the commercial space? Because it's a very different world, right?
Yeah, it's definitely different. You got to look at the same thing kind of we've talked about is what's trending, what's hot, what's a need, what's needed. So for example, I got a buddy he just bought a building downtown, and it's an old historic Cuban building called the Modelo building.
And you mentioned you're half Cuban.
I'm half
yourself,
Cuban.
Right?
My father came from Cuba when he was 5 to Miami. So we were actually going to open a Cuban coffee shop at the bottom of it. Now, they're right in that area. There's no coffee shops, nothing like that. So it's gonna be right there near a bunch of professionals, lawyers, doctors. Obviously, downtown is growing, so
a lot of big time coffee drinkers.
Yeah, I mean, especially Cuban coffee.
Yeah.
I mean, down in Miami,
That's the good
in the morning they bring it. You're awake for the rest of the day.
Oh, yeah. That stuff is strong.
Yeah, so we're gonna make some Cuban coffee, some little press sandwiches, things, little sandwiches,
awesome.
Things like that, and it should be pretty good.
Very cool. So that's coming up pretty soon, then, you said, right?
Yeah, he's doing a remodel on. Obviously there's no rush. He's got to do that, but that'll be coming up. I don't know, a few months probably to start.
And that's kind of like a mixed use space. So there's like, a little bit of like office space right above that, and on the rest of the floor, the coffee shop. So it'll be right in proximity of all those offices, literally within the building. So
yeah, I think there's a couple law firms in total that will be in the building, but then obviously the surrounding area. So it does have access to the street, which it's on Bay Street.
That's huge.
So it's kind of right across from CSX too. So CSX,
wow.
All those people that work in that building.
That's probably going to make a killing.
Yeah. Awesome. I mean, in this day and age, got DoorDash and all those type of things too. So hopefully it kicks off. I'm excited about that, and that'll be fun. It's something that's got a little tie into my past, into my family, my grandfather. So I'm excited about that.
I love that.
Yeah.
Well, that's exciting. Congrats on that. Hopefully you get that up soon. And it sounds like I really can't foresee that possibly not being a huge success.
Oh, man, I hope so.
That's exactly, as a young professional, that's the kind of places I like to go to, like little coffee shops where you could get a little bit to eat too.
Yeah, a little snack and a little coffee.
Just the kind of vibe of it, like all the, it attracts a lot of professionals.
Exactly.
So that's very cool. Mm-hmm. And that ties in right with like the environment you like to be in anyway. So that's very cool to be involved in.
Yep.
So another adventure that we were talking about, that this is more of one that you're considering, not really in the execution stage yet, you mentioned, but something you're considering pretty heavily is a pickleball spot.
Yes.
So get into that a little bit.
Yeah, so me and my brother started playing pickleball about a month ago. But I go out to the courts and I start seeing all these people. I mean, 50, 60, 70 people out at this one corner. I'm like, man, there's a lot of people doing it. And I know around town they're building, down Johnson Creek, they're supposed to be building a huge amenity center full of pickleball. And then there's people playing in Jarbo Park on the beach. So the point is, I know that there's a lot of people. It's becoming more and more popular, and it's for all ages. So it's not a sport that just young people, there's old, young, heavy set, slender, you can be anybody.
Lower barrier to entry just on the pure athletic level required. It's
correct.
Something like volleyball, like beach volleyball, you got to be kind of in shape.
Got to be able to jump pretty good. Yeah. Exactly. So this is a way to incorporate, there's a big market reach. So I actually went out to the court, it's like last week or the week before, and I saw a guy that I've done business with, and on the way home, I'm like, man, I was like, we should open up an indoor pickleball. Yeah. Because there is not one here. Now, I've been looking, right now I'm in the stage, I've been looking online. There are some that exist in other states. So I'm looking online to see like what they charge, what it looks like. So
in other states, you would think there would be one in Florida because it's so hot right now.
Exactly. And it rains every day. So, we're coming up to that time of year where it literally rains every afternoon. So all these people that want to play are probably not going to be able to, or you know what I mean? It's going to be tougher. You're going to have to play in the morning or what have you.
Sounds like a lot of like active, busy people too. So they're probably like stopping by like to play a quick game. You mentioned you might just get in a quick game or two later today, like kind of in the middle of your business day or end of the business day. So I mean, if you show up and it's raining,
No, you're
blends out.
Yeah, if it's raining, you can't play. So it's an idea to do that. Maybe host some tournaments, have a little pro shop, what have you. So I'm doing some market research into it. I mean, either way, it's fun to play, but it'd be cool to have a place where people who enjoy playing can have like a membership or pay for the day to come play type of thing. So I'm doing some research on that, and I'm always tossing around ideas. My brothers, they laugh at me because I'm always coming around with ideas, and I'm always like, oh, it's the Uber of this, it's the Uber of pickleball. It's so always got some.
It's a good comparison.
Yeah, so we're always laughing
I've
about
done that too. I've called things like the Airbnb of this and that. Yeah.
I'm always like, investors could be you.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
So I mean, just kind of something that you saw. That again, going back to this kind of common trend that I mentioned, is just you seeing something that's hot in the market, something that's really popular at the time, and said, "There's an opportunity in here somewhere, or there could be an opportunity in here somewhere. How do I execute on it?"
Yeah, you gotta keep your finger to the pulse. You gotta know what's going on. You gotta stay looking for that next thing. I mean, a lot of people. I mean, that's why I love watching things like the show about Uber and things. I love even the show about WeWork where they failed.
I still like to check that out.
It.
Is that good?
Yeah, it's good. It's real interesting. It's I've seen the documentary and the show.
Yeah. They went through like a huge scandal, right?
It did. And
kind of fell apart.
And I think he had it under control, in my personal opinion, and then he started overspending, which is something that people. What happens is you make, and I've seen this happen with business, especially in the construction business. I've seen other companies. What they do is you make great margins, and what they do is they go spend it.
Yeah.
And they don't reinvest it, or they don't save it for a rainy day, because just because you're having good months now doesn't mean you can have some bad ones later.
Exactly.
So basically the point that I'm making, I like to really pay attention, keep an eye on that. I love seeing good entrepreneur movies and things like that. I mean, I love that kind of stuff.
There's a lot of really good ones coming out nowadays. It's awesome.
Yeah, and especially with Netflix and Hulu and all these things, there's really good documentaries out there and on businesses, and you can see their failures or their successes, and it really kind of sometimes sparks your enthusiasm about being an entrepreneur, and I enjoy that.
And you can kind of just start to draw patterns where it might be in a total different industry, but like you mentioned things being like the Uber of this, the Airbnb of that. You can just kind of start drawing those patterns and say, okay, well, this worked for them in this capacity. Maybe it could transfer over to this completely different industry that has this one similar facet.
Yeah, like another little idea that I have. I haven't executed it, but it's just for some reason I feel like it's going to happen. So I have a child now, and I have a almost 2-year-old daughter, but it's when you buy her like shoes, for example, she grows out of them like a month. You know what I mean? Things like that. They're closing. So I was thinking of almost like a Netflix or Uber, where what it is subscription or shoes or clothes, and then what you do is you send them in. They somehow like really specialty clean them, and then then you buy the next like little grocery, like the sizes.
That could work really well.
And then you probably make it like a nonprofit or something, and then you donate it all the stuff at the end.
Once it gets to like a certain point in the life cycle of the garment.
Then you donate it to somebody.
That's awesome. I like that idea.
Then you pay a monthly, and that because the thing, it's your kids grow so quick. I mean, even from 0 to I don't know, 15, to like 15, they're like
exactly.
You grow out of your shoe size changes, so many times, and that's a lot of money you spend on clothes, shoes, all that kind of stuff, and they might only wear something once, and then what? It's like,
and you could probably just go on and just select like a certain kind of style, just say, hey, I want this much to come this often every month or every 2 months.
Yeah, like a subscription-based service. Maybe get 2 shoes and. 2 shoes and 2 things, and then once you get them back, you get back in, almost like Netflix was with.
Yeah, kind of like just a direct to consumer, like mail directly to them. Like,
directly to them, specialty cleaned. And that your kid wears. Kids will wear it once or twice, probably. But then they're going to be in the next size anyway. And that's,
absolutely.
It's just a way to monetize that. But then it's also a way at the end, like I said, you can donate it where you might not want your kid wearing it, but somebody would definitely wear that.
Yeah, and there's kind of precedent for that already. There's a lot of these kind of like companies that'll mail out a box of
they have like shave kit ones,
and like in clothes. I'm forgetting what it's called.
They have one for golf called, I think it's Par 3, I believe it's called. And what it is, every month they send you like a belt or a hat, or it's got like a little description.
There's one called like Good Threads or something like that.
I've heard of Good Threads.
Yeah, and they'll just send you something. You keep whatever you want to keep.
So the other back.
I mean, the format is already there, but I have never heard of anything like it for kids, and it's a even bigger market because of all that turnover.
Because of the turnover of the growth. I mean, they grow quick, like little sprouts. I mean,
that's a great idea. We've talked about all these different ventures that you have going on. I feel like that brings up a really good point that we had kind of mentioned before off air a little bit, which is just this concept of having all these different revenue streams that when you have a bunch kind of coming in at once and a lot of good safe bets with your other revenue streams that are coming in, kind of giving you that basis, allowing for you to potentially take on the little bit riskier but higher upside opportunities, like the pickleball that you were talking about. I'd like to kind of talk about that a little bit, just, why that's important to you personally.
Yeah. Any entrepreneur, you gotta have funds from somewhere. Unless you came from money or something like that, you have to have a main source of revenue. For me, it's my roofing company. This is what gives me the opportunity to buy into potential businesses or real estate. You have to have multiple streams of income. So I have stocks, real estate, business, obviously a main business, and I'm trying to open up other ones. But yeah, you have to have something that's a main catalyst in order to give you the opportunity to take some risks, doing things that people would probably call you crazy, like opening up the pickleball arena. But to me, it's that's very important, is that you have to have a fail safe. Pickleball doesn't work out or coffee shop doesn't work out, I got something that's bringing me some revenue. Obviously, I save money, I invest money so that if I ever need to go into my rainy day fund, I can.
Something I heard recently about how some of the biggest risk takers, most famous risk takers out there, people like Richard Branson, Elon Musk, those types, they're serial entrepreneurs and really killing it out there, are in the positions that they're in and are taking the risks that they're taking because they've built those foundations and they've done those foundational things like saving, having a rainy day fund early on that allow them to feel comfortable taking that risk.
Yeah.
So it almost would appear on the surface level that they're just these crazy risk takers, but if you dig deeper, it's because they're setting themselves up for success.
Yep, you gotta lay the foundation to give yourself a chance.
Absolutely.
Let's just say, for example, you open up another business and that one might need to pull money from somewhere. Think about it. If you have some money saved that you actually have, you don't have to bring in another investor. Things like you can really shoot yourself in the foot, for example. So it's really important to make sure that you have money, you have a way something that's going to bring you the revenue that you need, so that you can buy into other options, invest, stocks, real estate, those sort of things.
And I like that note of being able to avoid having an investor when you're starting a business. I want to really emphasize that because it's countered to the kind of sexy startup culture that's gotten really popular the last 5 to 10 years. A lot of people think, the move now is you take on all this crazy debt up front and just keep going until it's not debt anymore, until there's no debt anymore. But really, I feel like that's a much better bet, is just kind of putting yourself in a position where you can start and grow a company without having to take on debt at first and allow it to just kind of cash flow itself and build itself that way.
Yeah. Sometimes having too many partners is a bad thing. Sometimes it's great to have a partner. People, it's just somebody to collaborate with, somebody who's going to bring extra revenue. It all just depends. It depends on the type of industry. But I've seen people that have needed to go get investments from outside sources, and if they just would have somehow not had to get that money, they end up losing out on future revenue, large future revenue. So I've seen it happen. There is a place for having multiple partners and investments. And trust me, I got some things that I have partners with and stuff. It just depends on the setting and the type of venture.
Of course. And I feel like just understanding that and recognizing that is part of the art of building the experience and having the different things that you've gone through to learn that. So going back to the point of, building that foundation that we were talking about, we've caught up at this point to, your history, how you got into the space, what you're doing now, and a little bit of, on a macro scale, what you want for the future of your career. I'd like to talk a little bit about maybe the next 5 years, what you see as being the next stage of your career from here to 5 years from now.
I'm pretty confident I'll be able to do this. I want to pretty much double in size what I'm doing now revenue-wise for South Edge. It's probably about the healthy number where I'm going to stop it at, I would say, because I don't want to be the biggest construction. Well, it comes with a lot of liability and headaches and things of that nature. The money is good, but I said about double the revenue is probably my goal. Definitely buy more real estate. I learned from my father as well as other entrepreneurs. Real estate is steady. It's always been steady. It'll never, stocks go up and down. Real estate, you might have a little bit of a dip, but the assets always going to continue to grow. And now with short-term rentals and all, there's other ways in real estate now to make money other than just buy and hold or flipping. You can actually do short-term rentals. So buy more real estate, growing my business, and then just getting into other businesses. We'll see what pops up.
I love it. Just keeping the radar up and looking for opportunities like the pickleball and the coffee shop and everything.
I hope one day me and you collaborate on
Absolutely. I could definitely see it. Maybe
probably will.
Maybe the direct to consumer baby clothes and shoes brand, something like that, whatever pops up.
We'll figure something out.
Absolutely. Well, that's all very exciting stuff. There is one other question I always ask that I definitely want to make sure not to forget. It starts with, the industry that you're in. With everything you do, I would classify it as just being in the entrepreneurial industry, right? You do all this different stuff, a lot of real estate, but also just really anything that strikes you as a good, viable business opportunity?
Right now, I mean, the big thing that I'm seeing is that you got to make sure that you stick to the market trends like we've discussed.
Exactly.
That's the biggest thing. I know we've touched on it all throughout the shows. You got to pay attention to what's going on around you, and that's when you strike.
Absolutely. And so my question to you, and I ask this of everyone, if you were, telling your past self, maybe your 23-year-old self that you mentioned, what are some things that you would tell him to do differently as he was getting into the industry?
I would say one of the big things, it's hard to say. I wouldn't say break off. I should have broken off earlier, like basically on my own type of thing. Because I did learn from the older guys that were around me, good guys, entrepreneurs, saw ups, saw downs, learned so much. So I wouldn't say to break off earlier. I would say I probably wish I got into real estate earlier. Like I said, it's true as long as you could, especially back when prices were where they are. Obviously, everything's inflated now, but there's a lot of money to be made in it. And then, like I said, that money could have been making me money for years. So that would probably be my biggest thing is purchase some real estate, Chris.
Love it. Get into real estate early so that you could be making the money that lets you do the other fun stuff.
The other fun stuff. Yeah.
I love it. Yeah. Well, anything else that you wanted to touch on, leave the audience with?
No, I mean, it's kind of, just continue to work hard. You got to want it. Like I said earlier, make sure that you track everything, track where your calls came from. Stay hungry. I mean, I'm my biggest critic. I could chop myself to pieces if I wanted to. And that's what keeps me going. I'm like, man, I gotta get better. I gotta be a better entrepreneur, a better dad, better friend. And that's something that I just focus on daily. What am I going to do to get better? How am I going to get better? And you got to want that. And, good luck to everybody out there.
Just be better, do better. I love it. I think that's a great place to end it. Anything else you wanted to plug?
Not really right now. I mean, I guess really we've already talked about my business, South Edge Roofing and Construction. That's probably the biggest thing right now. I'm just trying to grow that. So yeah, give us a call if you need something.
Yeah, look out for the commercial.
Yeah, look out for the commercial. I'm gonna show
if you're a real estate owner of $350,000 or more, look out for that commercial. It's going to be coming your way.
We're here to help, so give us a shout.
Absolutely. Well, Chris, thank you so much for being on. This has been really awesome. Man. I've very much enjoyed our conversation. I feel like we talked about a lot of good stuff that's going to be great for my audience. Thank you so much.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Well, this has been Profession Session. I've been your host, Brody Vinson. My guest has been Chris Carvajal, and we're going to go ahead and sign off there. Thanks so much for tuning into Profession Session. I'm your host, Brody Vinson. Stay tuned for new episodes every week and short clips of deep dives into specific topics that I put out on different social media channels. We could be found on YouTube, Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, TikTok, all major podcast platforms. You can find my guest in the details of this video or podcast. And if you happen to know a young standout business owner, professional, or entrepreneur that you would think would be a good fit for Profession Session, DM me or get in contact with me anywhere and just let me know. And they could be the next to tell their story here. Until next time, again, this has been Profession Session. Stay focused, stay hustling, and stay networking.